Ami is playing guitar. Her voice, thick like river water, just fits in with the scenery. She is singing about Zohar. Our classmate moved to Israel last year, but she's still here. The boys playing baseball will cheer. Resonating with her chords, Adi is drumming. We are all singing Lech Lecha, loud in the most beautiful way. This is the Shabbaton. 2012, my last one. Next year, I will remember the way it sounds here. This music.
One of the joys of physics is how it takes the invisible world and makes it visible. It's ironic, almost the punchline of a joke even, that sound is invisible.
The best part has to be Havzalah. Better than the challah or the way the air smells, it is that moment when we spiral into a knot of each other, swaying clumsy, singing, and I close my eyes. Lose which voice is mine, feel so surrounded, so a part of something.
But what is stranger is that sound isn't even a thing. Sound is a process where one set of air molecules hits another set of air molecules that hits another set of air molecules in a chain reaction that continues through the air like a Newton's cradle or dominoes that can stand themselves back up.
Havne and Lara are kayaking, talking about the way water moves like sound. We learned about in freshman physics how waves can rise and crash without the particles even moving an inch. You can build so much motion from tiny collisions.
And the chain reaction keeps on going until it gets to your ear.
And all the details are colliding. The ones collected unseen without realizing, the smile sent across the baseball fields. The conversation in the dinner line, the 7 high fives collected on the walk between the Hadar Ochel and the cabin.
That pure sound and single note are actually hundreds of collisions hitting your eardrum each second. Higher pitched sounds are when more of them hit your ear each second, and louder sounds is when your eardrum moves a greater distance.
And I cannot help marveling at the distance we've traveled in days, in journeys and Shabbatons and coffee houses and community blocks, the distance we've traveled into each other, into ourselves, how 48 hours can be in everything.
My voice, that instrument, the clink of a glass, those sounds don't get to your eardrum directly. Instead, they begin with a process through millions of intermediaries compelled to move by the collisions of their neighbors until eventually it gets to your ear and moves your eardrum hundreds of times per second. Those vibrations have to be started by something. In your voice, that's your vocal folds or vocal cords. They're located in your larynx. You start them by exhaling air out of your lungs, and that pushes the vocal cords a greater distance for louder sounds. And then when you want to make higher sounds, you pull the vocal cords tighter with muscles.
I think community is art you create with people. That's what you'd think if you saw us. We are art, a mosaic. Mr. Cussover makes ice cream with liquid nitrogen. We eat it while he explains the physics. Faina is teaching Zumba in the boogie barn. She is just enough leader and just enough crazy to make 45 girls and a few teachers comfortable shimmying to Hips Don't Lie. Laughing as much as we sweat, Nina is playing with the teacher's kids. I am doing what I cannot help but do, writing it all into memory.
The amazing thing is that the human voice isn't just your vocal cords. Instead, those vibrations go into your mouth and into your nasal cavity, and they create other vibrations with higher frequencies called overtones and harmonics. So instead of making just a single pitch, we get a mixture of frequencies.
We are a mixture of frequencies. We are campfires and kosher meals. We are Shabbat dresses and muddy sneakers, guitar and hula hoops. We are Russian, Israeli, American, Orthodox, Reformed, Conservatives. We are all a part of this.
The richness of the human voice is one of its most notable characteristics. It's sort of like singing with yourself. La. It is obvious when those overtones go away as well. Like, say you have a cold and your nasal cavity is filled with whale mucus. Your voice sounds flatter. And maybe that's why the whistle and the recorder never caught on as musical instruments. Since they're devoid of these overtones, they sound cold, and dull. The saxophone, on the other hand, the instrument of John Coltrane and Charlie Parker, is the quintessential instrument of jazz. Perhaps as important as the guitar is to rock and roll, like the trumpet and the clarinet, jazz musicians can make the instrument sing like the human voice.
When I visited JCHS in 8th grade, they told me about this Shabbaton, about the way we come out of the cabins closer, and I see what they mean here. The way human beings can turn into harmony.
Maybe that's because the sax has so many overtones like our voice. Inside this one note, the sax contains many overtones that mix together to create the beauty of the sax.
We are in each other's overtones, blending together so everyone fits here.
Most people can't hear the individual overtones. They blend together, they create the quality of the instrument. A clarinet and a saxophone can play the same note, but you can tell the difference because the difference is in the overtones.
You can't hold on to this like music. You just have to be in the sum of all our sound and energy, our overtones on each other's voices.
With practice, you can learn to pick out the individual volumes that play together, that are mixed together to make one sound filled with tone and richness and style.
We are a single sound and so many voices.
And that's why I love physics. It reveals the hidden world.
We are a whole world. And when you put us together, you get a weekend, a Shabbat, when we remember we are not held together by our classes, but by this, by the homes we have built in hands and hugs and harmonies, by the music we make of each other.